And they are unfunded.
Well, tomorrow.
Yes. He's gonna be here most of today, and then I think he's leaving tomorrow. I guess the new guy's coming, I don't know.
Have you met them?
Just 30 seconds.
Okay, looks like we're ready to go.
I don't know.
Gina, you want to do the roll call?
That's the last thing.
Here.
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 Bill Stratton.
Here.
Mayor Hagedorn.
Here.
Joe Holtmeyer.
Here.
Sandy Lucy.
Here.
Elfie Ekkamp. Bill Miller.
Present.
Tim Brinker. Yes. Mike Colter. Here. Stephanie Meyer. Charles Stankovic. Here. Aaron Lamb. Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good morning, all. What a great turnout this morning. Thank you all for coming. First item always on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Well, these minutes are getting long, aren't they? Any comments, corrections? If not, I'll hear a motion to approve.
So move.
Do I have a
Second.
second? I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. On our agenda, I want to refer to this unfunded needs list that I passed out to the group here. Basically, these are the needs that they know exist, and they have what I always call it's in the funnel. It's in the funnel to be funded at some point. It's gotten to the funnel, and this was just released from the new reports that are of what's going to be done at this time around. And a couple of items that I want to highlight, and I went through and just highlighted the ones that affect both Warren County and our area here, Washington. And of course, the first one on the list here, it shows Warren County Highway 47, the hydraulic study to raise existing road and reduce flooding closures north of Washington. That's in the unfunded, but it's on the list. Guys, thank you for staying with it and making that happen. The next one is for Franklin County Highway 100 intersection improvements from St. John's Road to I-44. How did that happen? How did that happen? That happened because we had a meeting here and MoDOT saw that there were people that had things that they had to say about those intersections. They didn't say one intersection, they said improvements to I-44 on all the intersections. Now, this is a big deal because this has gotten now into this funnel. It's into the funnel of, I've identified that this is stuff that they know they need to do. And Steve, I know you had a lot to do with this too, these items, to get this in this unfunded. So that's a big one. That's another one. So go into the next one. Again, Warren County, hydraulic study for causeway on new alignment north of Washington. Guys, thank you. I mean, you know how many years I've been talking about this, and this committee has been talking about it, and it's in the unfunded listing? That's huge. I just tell you, it's huge. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Also, Warren County, roadway improvements from 94 to Route T. Again, this is huge, huge. Next one, Franklin County, reconstruct pavement from Route 100 to Route 30. That one I was a little puzzled on. I wasn't sure exactly where that.
How does 100 go to 30?
That's a big project. I mean, it's
Yeah, I know it's a big project, but
it's interstate.
It's Highway 44
Bad
from Villa
concrete.
Ridge to St. Clair.
Villa Ridge to St. Clair. Okay. It's on there. Hey, it said Franklin County.
It's tier 2, so it's.
Yes. Now, the next ones. Adding improvements in shoulders. This is the old Highway 100. Adding improved shoulders to Highway 100 from St. Louis County line to 50. Now, that's the old highway, correct?
Yep.
Right. Again, this is, the next item, add hangars at Sullivan Regional Airport. you know, it's in Franklin County. It's hangars, it's airport improvements.
They're getting all that.
Airport road improvements in the Sullivan Regional Airport. Fuel station replacement at the Sullivan Airport. Sullivan's not standing still. They're our sister town. Next item, add improved shoulders and pavement markings from I-44 to Old Country Courthouse in Union. What exactly is that? Just, it's on there. It's to be funded at some future time.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with,
I
Some of
wasn't
these,
either. I
but-
just thought I'd list it. And that final one on this, Franklin was extended trail from Vogelsang Park to Flying J. This is all Sullivan related. Again, it's in our area. And the summary page says reconstruct and add capacity to I-44 from Highway 100 to the Missouri state line. I wasn't sure exactly what they were trying to say there.
What direction?
Yes, that was exactly my thought. Which direction are they going,
That's gotta
east or
be down.
west?
$4 billion.
$4 billion, I mean,
That's
it's,
gotta be doing southwest.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would have to be, for $4 billion.
and the next item I had is reconstruct interstate and add outer roads to increase interstate resiliency. You know, $1 billion. And then we've got the Amtrak Roadrunner. Got some funding, major funding, to improve the multimodal transportation options. And highway railroad crossing, safety improvements, large amount of money. But anyway, this is stuff this is the stuff that's gonna be, you're gonna see hopefully happen in the next 10 to 20 years. But at least it's identified. You got to get it identified and you got to get it started. It has to get into the funnel before it can ever get funded. So anyway, I thank Steve for his efforts. I thank the Warren County people for their efforts to get the Warren County stuff on track and in the funnel. And it's a team effort to keep it going. That's all I can tell you. I was so delighted to see this. I made copies, and if anybody else wanted a copy, I'd get some. We can get more.
Good information.
These are just the highlights. This is just.
Bill, do you have a funded list?
Huh?
Do you have a funded list?
Yeah, it's about this thick. There's lots of it.
That's our draft STIP,
That's
it's
the
the funded
draft
list.
step. That's the one. By the way, I did attend that meeting in Pacific. I think I was the only one there, but that's that's sad that there can't be more involvement from the public. But it just doesn't draw people that have comments or whatever. I really didn't have a comment. I was there basically just to say, you know, I'm interested in what you guys are doing. But they had to set up the shop just like whatever they have to do, whether there's one or there's 100. So, again, I applaud MoDOT for what they do and how they do it, so.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Amtrak.
I included some information in the packet just with regard to questions you guys had in the past. There's River Runner information about just where those stops go, how those trains are running, some timing, all available out there in the public. But I know we were asking about that through train to Chicago and where all those stops were and things like that and the timing on those. I also dug out some information. It was annual report from the Freightways, which got a lot of interesting information about the freight that is moving in general, where it is. The specific answers, still, I haven't gotten a whole lot of response on. But, you know, a lot of that information about what's rolling through here is kind of in some of those documents. I've got a meeting with the Moorpack group actually this Wednesday, so I'll have some more updated information about just needs for Amtrak as well as just current data, things like that, which I should be able to share for the next meeting.
Very good. You know, the information, it's more of an advertising, you know, when you get to a certain stop, what could you do? There's interesting, how they identify some of the things around our area. I'm just curious how that gets updated.
They did big study recently, and where a lot of that information comes from, the Amtrak group, that MORPAC group, was just trying to figure out where people are going, where they're stopping, where their ons and offs are, and what they're trying to do while they're there. And so they add those highlights into their information flyers to say, hey, when you get here, this is what you can do and why you should get off the train in all of these towns, Washington included, so.
Yes, yes. I was just curious if the chamber or who does it or who?
Missouri Chamber's involved, Amtrak is certainly involved as they're trying to sell tickets, so yeah, it's a group effort with that MORPAC group.
Okay, very good.
Thanks for this.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Sure, I'll continue to try to grab more information as I can and reach out to those guys about, just like I say, they're very good about updating us at those meetings as to the direction they're going with trying to improve on-time performance, trying to, certainly sharing information about ticket sales, where people are going, what they're doing. And they're very positive about numbers this year over last year, and, so and that's part of the reason why that through train has been happening, because there's just been more interest in riding that train. They still continue to have troubles with on-time performance as they share those lines with the freightways. But there appear to be pretty good handshaking there together, realizing that they have common goals to get both things moving at the same time, so.
I guess it's amazing how much Union Pacific is doing for this area. When you think about the freight movements and whatever, in and out, and we're fortunate that have had train service for a lot of years. And the things that Union Pacific offers, and they're a major corporation. If you read through any of this, you'd want to be an investor. I mean, these people they're long-term investments.
Absolutely. We see in the news where I think it's in Jefferson County, they're putting in some river to freight spurs, things like that. And obviously Washington has access to those opportunities as well. Now, the infrastructure isn't there, things like that, but it's interesting that other communities are taking advantage of that, saying, hey, we're making a connection for some of this river freight traffic to train freight traffic to, and obviously the commuter rail traffic gets tangled in that mix too, and trying to figure out how to manage those and create economic opportunity for the state, so.
And I see Tim Brinker is here from the county. There's a meeting going to be, Tim, there's a meeting coming up at St. Louis Regional Freightways, and they're gonna show off some of their ports and whatever here coming up. I signed up for it. I hope you did too, and whatever. I'm not sure whether we could invite any other people, whether it's just. I don't know what the invitation limit is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't either.
But yeah, that is a good move and measure by them to expose people further into the needs and the existing infrastructure. Yeah.
You bet. And what the future's going to look like with barges. And, yes. Union Station. I think that's going to be that mode that it seems to be, way out there, and it's from years ago. But the trains and the barges and whatever, they're going to be more important in the future. It's obvious that Freightways sees it. I think the mayor went with me to one of the meetings. I think it's something, if we can stay close to it, I think it's important for the town of Washington with what we got going. So anyway.
Craig, do you ever get any information on the on-time record of Amtrak?
We get on-time performance records, heck, from Emily Hopkins at our tourism office, and they kind of track those trains. I do have that information, and I can share that with you as well. That on-time performance, they track each train as it comes in and highlight if it's more than 15 minutes or so off schedule. Their goal is an 80% on-time performance within a certain window, and they miss that pretty often. And that affects passenger rail probably more than it does anything else, because those freightways tend to roll through just fine. So That being said, in general, that on-time performance has actually gotten better over the course of the last year and a half, and that relationship with Union Pacific and getting them through has been better. But as anybody who rides the train on the regular knows, that it can be sometimes inconsistent about what time you can reasonably expect to arrive at your destination. So they work on that constantly. But I can share those with you. In fact, I'll get more out of this next MORPAC meeting this week, and I'll include them in the book next time.
Well, you see the trains at various times. They don't seem to be, you can't set your watch by it.
It's not Europe. Yes, you're right.
You mentioned the spurs and the commerce and that type of stuff. It would be nice to get a report, because it's been a while since I've heard it on what goes on at the team track, kind of what is it used for throughout the year. So we have just a little bit of a background on that.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I mean, the team track's on the agenda, but we have 0 users currently at the team track.
Each, 0 per year? I mean, nobody.
No one's currently using the team track, no. We
Oh,
advertise it
not
as
even
possible.
for fuel loads?
Not anymore, no.
Stopped.
Nope, it's just used as storage. I mean, we've continued to advertise it, but with with UP being the only user, we've heard from some businesses that it's not been the best, the most cost-effective to use that over in trucks, so.
Well, I'm
And
glad
then
we
there's
have
a
it
new
still.
route and Union going in that's been more cost-effective, so, which is still good for the region. Just, yeah. So
Yeah.
it was, WEG was using it it was weekly, but as of this year, they have put that on pause and gone to trucks. So we continue to advertise it.
Sally, could that be expanded, just out of curiosity?
We don't,
I know, I'm just throwing it out there.
no, I mean, not lengthwise, I don't think, we don't have any room for it there.
It'd be very expensive and you're not,
I understand,
We don't have the demand.
just like you got it in place to build it.
I don't think we have any demand, proof of demand for it that we could put into an application.
no, I'm saying if someone that came in would need more facilities or something more than what's there,
Depends
could it be expanded?
entirely on case by case what they utilizing, so.
I didn't have any idea.
Everything can be expanded.
Everything can be expanded if
There
you
you go.
find the person that needs it.
You can move anything.
Any other comments on Amtrak? Hearing none. Causeway, Missouri River Bridge flood issue. I think you guys got it handled. I think you guys got it handled on the Causeway. So, I mean, that's all we can do at this point. Wait for the flood. It's coming. Maybe, hopefully, years from now. Next item, Highway 47, Corridor Committee. Thanks, you're up, guys.
Morning.
Good morning.
We have not had a meeting of the Corridor Committee. Franklin County, on their portion of the roundabout expressway down at 50 and 47, we continue to obtain properties. We obtained another one last week. That leaves 3 that are still outstanding. We're working on those. We expect those to be closed in the next 45 days. Union is going through a condemnation procedure that's going to take longer. So both Union and Franklin County were both granted 90-day extensions on the projects by MoDOT. So that's an update on the Causeway. That's where we're at. That's got to pretty much get taken care of before anything else happens.
Yeah. There's been no change in the monies as far as who's paying for what or whatever in that?
No, not as far as I've been informed.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding that? Highway 47?
I'll stay here for the next one.
Yeah, there you go. Go for it.
Okay, Franklin County Transportation Committee. We were supposed to have a meeting in the middle of July. Due to a lack of a quorum, we were not able to have the meeting. As the administrator of that committee, I developed a recommendation for the committee for granting funding of the grants. We had received 5 grant applications that were complete and timely. My recommendation was to award 100% to 4 of the 5 applicants. One of the applicants, Washington Special Road District, I recommended 34%. That being because they have received 25% of the awards of over the past 5 years. So that's all we could due to the bylaws of the Transportation Committee. That's the most we could grant Washington Special Road.
Very good.
So, but everybody else did get 100%.
Any comment, Ed? Ed, any comments?
No, we just, we're being penalized for requesting over the last 5 years.
No, you're not being penalized for requesting, you're being held to the same criteria as everyone else.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
So who are the,
City of Gerald requested 110,000. I recommended they get the 110. City of Pacific, 75,000. City of St. Clair, 75,000. City of Washington, 100,000. And Washington Special Road District requested 287,000. So, Washington Special Road District, I recommended 99,000, so they're within $1,000 of
Very good.
the grant, so.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was just curious.
thank you,
Thank you.
thanks.
Very good.
If there's nothing else, thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jim. Next item on the agenda, 50/50 MoDOT grants. Anything from you guys?
I mean, yeah, our 100% MoDOT grant out at the industrial
Yeah,
park.
I understand. Yeah.
Moving forward, we have submitted the plans, had the agreement signed, so it's under design. So it's still hoping to go out to bid as soon as the plans are approved by MoDOT.
Very good.
So.
Very good. MoDOT, Northeast District, Warren County. Guys? There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
MoDOT, we're going to be having a public hearing on the 29th of August at our administration building for I-70. Also, the Missouri Transportation Committee Warren County will be hosting them October 11th and 12th.
Good for you.
And also MoDOT and with their engineers has a committee going around to the school districts, to all the aldermen and mayors of Wright City, Truesdale, Warrenton, about the I-70 project. So that's going pretty hot and heavy.
You
So
bet.
it's going good.
Any new companies landed in that area?
None that I can announce yet,
Okay,
yet.
very good.
So, but
Thank you.
they will be coming.
You bet, thank you.
You bet.
Washington Special Road District, Ed?
Yeah, we're, not much going on, except we're working on trying to finish Pottery Road, and taking a little longer than we desire, but I guess we'll get there. It's moving slow.
A lot of traffic on that road now, isn't
Huh?
there? There's a lot of traffic on that road.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else on the Special Road District? Hearing none. Old Highway 100 Bridge, Steve saying it's in the process.
Nothing new.
Nothing new, it's moved. I mean, it's kind of, it can't move until it, you know.
I mean, it's not in the STIP, so we got to figure out how to get it funded.
Yeah.
And we've talked with Washington before about other ways to get it funded, so
Yes,
probably need to
that's, I think you're on top of it.
get back into that.
We'll keep it on the agenda, but it probably isn't going to move until the funding becomes available or something happens or whatever, so, anyway. Airport. Sal, there you go.
Hangars are about 90% complete as of last week, so concrete's been poured in the building, the walls are up. It's gonna be completed any day now, I would assume, so. Other than that, business as usual.
That's fantastic. All are rented, obviously.
Well, there's a wait list. We haven't had any leases yet, but they will be
They will
rented,
be,
of
yes,
course, yeah.
that's what I meant.
I would assume most of them will be people who are wanting to switch from an existing hangar to the new hangar, and then we'll fill up the older hangar, so.
Yeah. Any comments about the airport? Hearing none. Team Track? Got it. East-West Parkway. That's happening, isn't it?
We've got a
later for you to talk about how our use of the sales tax up until 2030, but that's one of the projects that's on the list. It's actually in this year's budget year to go ahead. The council purchased the property necessary to go ahead and start a portion of that, as we've reported to you in the past. That's off of Beaker Road, going east towards South Point Road, which will tie into a subdivision called Stonebridge. And so we're happy that we've got the opportunity to go ahead and start that portion of it, but basically that's one of the major improvements that we've got slated for this year in this year's budget. I think, do you know when they're going to start on that? Have Vic given you?
Start this fall, we just got plans from.
Okay. So there you go.
That's going to be exciting to see that.
Oh, yeah,
High Street
absolutely.
extension.
Absolutely. But a little bit later on your agenda, under other business, Charles will go ahead and show you a couple of slides over how we've got the money spent between now and 2030, just so you've got an idea like we talked about the last couple of meetings. Okay?
Next item, East-West Gateway 2050 plans. I think we've gone over that and basically submitted everything that could be done or could be asked for in many cases. And of course, the results are their unfunded needs have a lot of these things in it, that it got into the formula for funding. Public transportation. Anything new? Oh, there she is. Hi. Hi. Good morning.
So just a quick update on the Mo Rides program. It's a statewide initiative. We're a connector of people needing transportation with transportation companies. One of the initiatives that we are taking on in the new fiscal year is to go through every county and look at the resources that we have available listed. We've got a morides.org website. We're trying to get more and more people to use the website. That's available 24/7. We do also host a call center, which is only available Monday through Friday during business hours. But so if there are new resources for transportation in Franklin County that anyone is aware of, would love to let me know so that we can get that on that list. But we're going to be checking and making sure that the information that we have listed out there for every county across the state is accurate. So that's a big undertaking for this next fiscal year.
You bet. Very good. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And your efforts are, people don't realize how important that transportation mode is for the people who don't have automobiles.
So many people have barriers to transportation, and, that this is a little piece that can help, but being aware of all of the options that are out there is something that, we are trying to make sure that we have that list most up to date.
Very good. Thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you.
Any other business?
Yeah, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, Charles has got some slides put up for the Washington transportation budget. We've had to take a look at this recently, and well, we do quite a bit, but with the match funds that need to be, that we would need for the airport, we try to take a deep dive into our budget, where we're at, what we're going to need to be, what projects are need to be completed between now and 2030. And as we talked about it, I think at the last two meetings, I think of this group, just that tax is due to sunset in 2030. People may think, well, it's premature to be talking about in 2023, but when you see the projects that we've got lined up all the way between here and 2030, you'll see that, no, it's going to be important for us to go ahead and keep this on the agenda probably and discuss it in the future. So with that, I'll let Charles go ahead and walk you through some of the slides. So.
Very good.
All right, so, yeah, just stop me if you got questions along the way.
Got this one in front of us here.
All right, so this is what the budget looks like. There's a bigger spreadsheet that Mary Sprung and Finance put together, but this is kind of the total numbers here. So starting with 2023 there, revenues coming in is at the top, a little over 4 million. And then expenditures, so we're over what we're bringing in for, it looks like the next couple years here, 23 and 24 for sure. And then you can see our cash flow. So we had, cash flow going into this, but then we start eating that up. And then, so 25, 26, 27, all the years after, we got to stay closer to our actual budget there. So I'll give you a breakdown of what those projects look like here. So 23, it's hard to see in the spreadsheet, I guess, but we got Jefferson Street, right-of-way acquisition and design. Westlink's gonna go this fall, so we got $500,000 there. Design for our Front Street grant project and our High Street grant project that are both being constructed in 25. And then if you go back to the top, you see Third Street got pushed. It went out for bid, Joker's got the bid. They're gonna start building in March of next year. They have till September to get the project complete. So we moved that over to 24 budget, but that came in significantly over budget. So the estimate for the project was 857,000, came in at 1.5.
Wow.
And it's a grant project, so it's typically 80-20, but it's gonna be closer to like 50-50 because we gotta eat all the extra costs there, so.
And that's,
I want to mention that what Jim just announced a while ago, that $100,000 that you heard Jim announce for Washington, that
Yeah.
can go towards this project.
Right, yeah.
and that's from Third Street to?
That's
I mean,
from
excuse me,
Highway 47
47
to Jefferson
To
Street.
Jefferson?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and we predict that's gonna happen for our grant projects probably through 25. So our Jefferson Street project's probably gonna come in higher than estimated, 4 or 5 years ago. Same with Front Street and High Street with the cost of everything going up. So we set the budget for, what we estimated them for, but if they go up, we're gonna be over budget for the next couple of years as well. And then later on, what we got? We got we just got awarded West Third Street from Jefferson to High Street in 27. And then we also got the CMAQ grant for Highway 100 Rabbit Trail, adjusting the Phoenix Center Drive there, and we talked about previously. And then we set up, after that, we had planned for East Fifth Street, 2 phases to add sidewalk from 47 to 100. So broke that into 2 phases, one from 47 to International, and then International to Highway 100. So that was 28 and 29, as far as like our grant projects that we typically apply for. And then you can see this year we had some projects come up that weren't anticipated. So we had the High Street extension, Rabbit Trail extension, and then of course we're doing the East-West Parkway. So we had budgeted for Earthcrest extension. That's not going this year, so that's where we got the funds for the East-West Parkway in there. So we had a bunch of projects this year that came up that weren't planned for, so that's why the budget's pretty high this year. And then some of our those were our grant projects mostly. This is what we typically do for our local street projects. So our plan was to do our downtown kind of reconstruction. So this winter, we're planning on doing the 2nd Street from Jefferson to Cedar, redoing all the sidewalks and street, everything down there, Storm. And then we're gonna do Front Street in 25, and then we'll do Main Street, same from Jefferson to Cedar in 26 there. And then the plan was to do, that'll cover, and then 27 we'll have 3rd Street through the grant, and then the plan was to do the north-south streets, Lafayette, Elm, Oak, at the end there, 28, 29, 30, so. And then typically we had planned to do, last 2 years, we've done Nova Chip on a lot of streets to kind of cover our overlays. So we had $1 million planned to do all those projects, but with the costs of all these other projects going up, you can see in 24 and 25, we're gonna have to cut just our local paving projects significantly. So 200,000 for 2 years, and then cut the $1 million in half, 26 through 30. So won't get to pave as many streets as we had planned, but still quite a few streets. Plus, we're doing the downtown reconstruction. So, and then we have some miscellaneous projects the next couple of years on trails, some parking lots down at the riverfront, working together with parks. kind of get some of that together. We have we're applying for a grant to get the Riverfront Trail connection between the west and the east end there, where the pavilions are. So that's some of our other projects going on. And just replacing some of the signals, 14th and Jefferson, then the next year 8th and Jefferson, and then we'll take care of the 5th and Jefferson signals as part of the Jefferson Street project next year. So there's just the totals again.
And those are the traffic totals? Transportation?
Transportation, yeah, yeah. So those are the costs there. Just kind of break things up. Does anyone have any questions or? Okay. I mean, I just broke the projects up by year if anyone else see it that way, but.
No, I mean, like I said, we took a look to see, because as you know, as we've shown as far as the airport goes, we've also received $3 million through that omnibus bill at the beginning of the year towards the extension of the runway as well as the expansion of that. We have been meeting with our consultant CMT. We had a meeting with MoDOT last week to discuss possible how we can go ahead and move forward with that, not lose or jeopardize that funding. We're also going to meet with Ann Wagner's office here in the next week or two to discuss some of those options. But one of the options that we discussed was to move forward with some of the preliminary stuff. There's essentially the environmental that has to be done as a part of that. You've got right-of-way or easement acquisition, and then you've also got the design costs, et cetera. So we're looking to see if we go ahead and move forward with that portion of the project. So at least you have that plan sitting on a shelf. So if there's funds down the road, we can go ahead and pull them off the shelf and be ready to go. And so that was what we had discussed with them the other day. Those 3 items, approximately $1.5 million, so that would be half the funding. And then we're also going to look at the how far we could go with the extension of the runway and see how much, if the other $1.5 million would allow us to go ahead and do that. You may not have the expansion of expanding it 25 foot wider, but this would all be within the $3 million that we were receiving from the feds, as well as trying to utilize our match that we get as well every year on an annual basis. So, but as Charles put together these, I want to thank him for putting these together, because we had to sit there and go back, look at these projects and say, where are we at? I mean, and we had to move some stuff around as he went over it. For example, we wanted to get a connection from Rabbit Trail Drive over to North Crest Drive to go ahead as part of, to relieve the traffic there at Rabbit Trail and Highway 100. Unfortunately, we couldn't go ahead and work out with negotiations with the property owner there, and so we decided to move those funds when we saw the opportunity for the East-West Parkway roadway. And we were able to go ahead and negotiate with that developer pretty quickly to go ahead and get those funds, so we just moved it from one line item to the other. So, but that's a synopsis of where your money's going for your transportation sales tax between here and 2030. So that's been thought out, just so you know. And like Charles said, we'll see what those numbers are like for Fifth Street, down the road when we put those applications together. So, and that's, like I said, we've got, as Sal mentioned earlier, you've got the 100% grant for the Highway 100. We're hoping that that those bids come in. That's going to go out for bid.
As soon as MoDOT approves it. We don't know.
Okay. We don't have that exactly, but this year, I mean, we wanted to go ahead and get that out for bid. And so hopefully 100% of that. Now, as I've explained to the council on a couple of items with these, I mean, that's our ARPA funds that the city has available is basically trying to cover the costs of when these bids come in and whether or not we're within budget or not. So the money that we've received basically is covering for the inflation that it created, unfortunately. So,
Darren, when do you think you'll start the process of trying to get the renewal on the transportation tax?
Well, that's a question I would pose back to you, Bill.
saying,
I mean, I think you could, yeah.
Too soon.
Well, I think if you saw an opportunity where they were looking for a commitment beyond 2030 for funding, say Highway 47 or something along those lines, or even the widening of 100 to 4 lanes all the way to Voss Spring Drive. I mean, those are two key things that I see within the city limits that the city would want to go ahead and pursue. If you needed a commitment beyond 2030, well, then that'd be something that we would look to the voters to say, you could propose to go ahead and renew that tax or whatever early, 26, 28, just throwing numbers out, I mean, as far as years. But I mean, I think when you identify a need beyond 2030, I think that's probably when you need to start talking about the renewal of the tax. Because you're gonna need that commitment. What's the local commitment for it?
You have to have it.
Yeah, you have to have matching funds, and so that's the only way that you would have them. So,
But we've been good stewards of what we've done, so.
I'd like to think so. I think we've done a good job of taking
Done a
care
really
of it.
good
If most of you remember that when we proposed that tax to the voters, it was basically to cover two things. It was to go ahead and get Highway 100 4 lanes from the city limits out to I-44, and the other part was to do a better job on our local streets. And I
We've
think
done
we've done
both
that with the
plus
local
more.
streets. And I think, and we've done a lot more with it. We've made a lot of connections now
Yeah.
that your comprehensive plan identified that, needed to be done. So, like I said, but it's stretched thin.
It
I will say you're
is.
getting every dime of it. So,
I don't know that we can.
Aaron, when does the transportation sales tax expire?
at 2030. 2030. So,
And sales taxes,
26.
26.
yes, and the capital improvement sales tax is 26, that's correct. And so that's kind of key too, is when you want to go back to the voters for that. You're going to go back to the voters and renew that in 26. So sometime after that, maybe when you start talking, like I said, it depends on when you get a commitment on a big project and they need to know what the local match is going to be. So. All right, any other questions? We'll readily have this available and we can send this to anybody if they have any questions.
Thank you. Thank you,
you.
Charles.
Yeah.
Well, any other items? I want to once again publicly commend MoDOT for their efforts in mowing the right-of-ways and stuff during the fair week. They do it every year. Like they're actually scheduled, Steve tells me they've got, their schedules are set up so they get it done before the fair hits here to make the town look good. And also, it appears that the signage that you're using now is new and it's bright. It shows up better. Is there any, you've made some improvements in the signage, just general signage of everything.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the
I mean,
sign.
do you replace it every 10 years or? Maybe it's just my imagination. It just looks like it's brighter and cleaner and whatever. That
Not familiar.
big rain illusion, yeah.
I noticed the paint trucks out on Highway 100 when I
There
was
you
going
go.
to the city the other day and thought about that. That happens pretty much every year before the fair. In fact, my wife asked, do we spruce it up just for the fair? And I think my professional answer would be no, we spruce it up for all the extra traffic and the safety of those people coming and going to Washington. We got nice bright paint and noticeable signs, and
You bet.
it doesn't hurt at all to have a little extra makeup on the city. It looks good.
Does look good. City really looks good now. With the fair coming, I mean, it looks, the trash has been cleaned up and, the city's right there in the front line doing it. Anyway, commend all of you. If there's nothing else, I'll recommend, adjourn to adjourn.
So moved, I think.
I have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
All right, Joe, we'll hang in there.
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, good stuff.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you being here. I wish we could make it easier on you, but you're critical to us. Appreciate it.
Let's do it at 7.
We used to meet at 7.